Boxing King Media in association with Box. So delighted to be joined by Mr. Abdullah, Mr. Amer Abdullah from Skills Challenge in a traditional outfit. Going on traditional today, Amer?
Jazakallah khair. How good to be here with you, brother. This is how I dress every Ramadan.
Good man. It's I bet it's not, the weather's nice in Vegas, so you can get away with it.
Right, right.
Good man. Let's jump straight into it, man. There's when I go back to Jake Paul, Tommy Fury, I remember speaking to you and I said to you, what's the next thing you guys have got planned? And you were saying, trust me, it's going to be bigger. It's going to be huge. And I think you said it might be back-to-back big fight weeks. And now the rumors are coming out. Everyone's hearing about it. And, Eddie Hearn's done an interview the other day and he's confirmed you guys are planning some mega tournament with the 4 biggest heavyweights on the planet. What can you tell me about that?
Well, first of all, there hasn't been anything official that's been stated. Let me be very forthright in saying that. And we're talking to a lot of people. Unless anything comes from the desk, from the office of Prince Khalid bin Abdulaziz, anything comes directly, a release that comes out from Skill Challenge Promotions or Skill Challenge Entertainment, then everything is just, potential. They're potential fights that could be made. Are we talking with Eddie Hearn and AJ? Of course we are. Are we talking with Deontay? Of course we are. Tyson, Usyk. We have relationships with every single one of those guys. I will say there isn't a tournament in place. Are those fights in play? Of course they're in play. It's just, a matter of right now, when Prince Khalid decides that he wants to do the fight and he determines the date of when to do the fight, I assure you, I will get the first phone call and he'll tell me to make the fights happen. At that point, I'll reach out to, those 4 parties that we have a great relationship with, as we do with every promoter in the business, and we'll make the fights happen. But until then, nothing is concrete. There isn't any set date. There isn't any set fights that are set. They're all, potential fights that are interesting fights. And, with Skill Challenge, as Prince Khalid said, it's for the fighters, for the fans. He does things that are, just over the top. And that's what he's going to continue to do. And that's what Skill Challenge is going to continue to do. We're going to have some announcements here soon about some other endeavors and other ventures that we're going to be getting into also with, smaller fights and, more active fights, more signings. We have another signing that's coming up here, a very big one, a very big one. And yeah, the heavyweight division is always something that we're interested in. But to answer your question, is there anything that's 100% solidified? The answer is no. Are we entertaining those fights? Of course we are. And, when Prince Khalid sat down, him and I, and we talked about the different fights that were available, the Ministry of Sport, of course, is heavily involved. And we have some other partners. But Prince Khalid said, these are the fights that I want. And he identified, 4 or 5 major fights that he wanted. I told him we can easily get those done. And he said, I will, once we're ready to go, we'll sit back. I'll be back in Riyadh, inshallah, in 2 weeks after Eid, and which is the end of Ramadan. And we'll put the plan in place. But again, I guess that's the long answer. Nothing is concrete.
When did he first come up with this idea? Because I'm guessing it's the Prince that came up with this idea to stage potential mega heavyweight fights.
Well, Prince Khalid's always been, let me just say this. He's a huge, huge fan of the sport. That's what I love working with him. That's one of the main reasons that I love working with him, aside from so many other reasons. He is a huge fan of boxing. So he looks at it, it's not just a promoter looking at it from a business side and, nothing, against anybody, but sometimes they look at it just from a monetary perspective, from a greed perspective, from a power perspective. He doesn't. He looks at it from a perspective of, this is what the fans deserve. These are what the fighters deserve. And of course, he pays a premium, in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia pays a premium. And we get those guys in because we put on shows that are a little bit different than everybody else. They're not better or worse. They're just different. And of course, his ideas, when I had painted out a couple of, he said, give me the 5 biggest fights, the 6 biggest fights that we could put on in Q3, Q4. We sat down, we talked about it, and he said, 1, 2, 3, 4. He loves the heavyweight division. He has a great relationship with AJ. He has a great relationship with Usyk, because they've been here in the country. He has a very good relationship with Tyson Fury and, of course, George and Frank Warren. Again, there's no barriers to these fights. That's what's so unique about Skill Challenge Promotions is We're not tied to a network. We're not tied to a promotion. We're not tied to any exclusivity. We come in, we make a deal. Everybody makes out very well, from the network to the promoter to the manager to the fighter, and the fights get made. But to answer your question, did Prince Khalid choose the fights? He absolutely did. And that was the brainchild of what he was looking to manifest. And I'm telling you, when I go back to Riyadh, I think we're going to have some very big announcements that we're going to make, and it's going to be very exciting for everybody in the sport.
When the British fans first heard about this, was, I don't know if you saw it, it was an Instagram post from Anthony Joshua, and it seemed a bit like a bit of disappointment, because I think he was looking forward to fighting in the summer, and that was the original plan. And he just put something out saying that I won't be fighting until December, and that got everybody talking. And then the rumors circulated out. I don't know if you know Simon Jordan and Talksport. He came out and said he's heard the rumor. And then since we've had Tyson Fury come out in the last couple of days and said it's all BS, there's no talks going on. So I'm assuming that's Tyson just being Tyson, just keeping low key.
You got to give Tyson Fury one thing. He knows how to promote the sport. He knows how to promote himself, and he does it very well. When he talks, the axis of boxing turns. So, and look at, he is, arguably the best heavyweight champion that we've seen in a long time, and he is arguably, the man right now. But putting that aside, as far as AJ goes, whatever Freddie from 258 and Eddie decide that they want to do with AJ, I think that it's, that they're going to always go to the path of what makes the most sense for him financially. He's coming back off of 2 losses back to back to Usyk. He just, fought the last fight, the kid with Franklin, or whatever his name was. And he had, he didn't have an amazing performance, but this is what a lot of people fail to understand. He just went through 24 rounds of a very grueling opponent. Alexander Usyk is not a guy that you can just go in there and fight. There's a lot of psychological warfare. There's a lot of mental warfare. There's a very physical fight, even though the guy's not a big heavyweight. It's a physical fight when you fight with him, his movement, his angles, his boxing, and they were brutal fights. Usyk's a threat. He's a threat to any heavyweight. Don't let his size, take you off your guard that he can, because he's a smaller guy. The guy is a force to be reckoned with in the heavyweight division. So AJ came back. Listen, he's got a new trainer. He's adapting to new things. He's trying new things. I think his head's in the right place. He's a beautiful person. He's got a good heart. The guy's coming back. Give the guy a break. Let him do what he needs to do. There's so much criticism around this guy, and the reason why is because he did so well for so long, and the higher you go, the lonelier you get. There's a lot of envy in this sport, and when you're not a target, that means you're not significant. So he should embrace the criticism. He should embrace all of the hate, and he should embrace all of that, because that means that he's back, and he's back on the radar, and that's important. But to go back to him fighting, December is a target date for us in Saudi.
But why is it December and not earlier?
That's the date that Prince Khalid wants to have for that slot. When that happens, look, you could, again, when you look at the skill challenge promotions and Prince Khalid and how he operates, it's not the norm. He'll have certain things picked, and he'll have certain dates picked because, and I can't say too much because maybe there's venues that are very special that they need time to allocate and time to put together. But he's a very calculated person in Prince Khalid. He doesn't just shoot at the hip. And, he's a military man, and I've said that before, and, a special forces military sector. So he doesn't just shoot from the hip. It's very precise. And when he pulls the trigger, he's going to take people out. And what I mean by that is that, there's going to be some things that happen. So December, that there's a specific date that's in mind. And again, once he wants to put out that press release, we'll put it out. We have it ready. And those fights will be announced. But there might be fights before that also. There might be some very exciting things that we're going to be looking to do before that. So December isn't the first fight that we're looking to do. It's a fight that we're looking to do. And these names are in the mix. So whether AJ wants to take a tune-up fight, and whether his management and his promotion think it's good for him to do that, or maybe go back down to Texas and work for a little bit longer with his new trainer.
Would you guys allow the tune-up fight? Would you
Of
guys?
course, of
Mm.
course we would. Look, and at the end of the day, this is a business disguised as a sport.
Mm.
If he takes a tune-up fight, he's got to win the fight. It's not interesting to us if he comes off of a loss. So he's got to win the fight. And I think that being in Texas, being down there with his new trainer and in camp with Earl and all those guys, I think it's good for him. I think it's good for him to be around other guys like that, American guys, a different style, a different mindset. So they can do whatever they'd want to do, and we absolutely support them. And you saw Prince Khalid and the whole team. We all went out to AJ's fight to support him. Of course, we had Ziyad El Mayouf on the card. So we'll continue to support AJ, but it's just got to make sense to what happens. And yeah, December is a target that we're looking for. But once it's official, rest assured, that press release will go out and everybody will be on notice.
And just to clarify, the plan is if it all comes off, both fights on the same night on the same card.
That's correct.
Wow, that's pretty amazing.
It's gonna listen again. The way that Prince Khalid does things is and nothing is concrete. So I don't want to say that that is going to happen. I'll tell you that it's a consideration. It's one of those are 2 out of the 4 or 5 fights for that month that we're looking to do, and they might land. It might make the most sense for us. Again, in the next couple of weeks, I'll be traveling back to Riyadh, inshallah, and we'll sit down. We'll have a plan, and we'll make the announcement.
And the last question on this particular topic, Eddie Hearn also suggested, he was asked in an interview what kind of figure it would cost to put these fights together. And obviously, I don't know if he was exaggerating, but he said $400 million, which is obviously a crazy, crazy figure. But if it was that kind of money, what would the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and obviously Skills Challenge be looking to gain back for that kind of investment?
Well, again, those are questions that are above my pay grade, right? So what the kingdom is looking to make. I sit in on the meetings and I know what the return on investment is. Obviously, the Eddie might think that the guy is worth, maybe those 4 fights are worth 400 million, 100 million a piece. That might make sense. I will tell you this: there has not been any dollar amount that has been disclosed. And I think that the fight is worth that much. I think when you have if those fights were to come to fruition and you have 4 of the best heavyweights that are around right now, there's a ton of money that's out there that they should, that they could muster. I mean, that fight could generate, that fight could, attract. There's so many, there's so much of a big return. So maybe that's what the tag that they put on there, but no money has been mentioned. No money has been mentioned.
Fascinating. And then obviously December's a long time away. When can we expect the next Skills Challenge event?
I think in Q3 is when we're going to be launching the next one, and we'll have something that we'll be talking about here soon. That we'll get a press release out here soon, but I think Q3, September, October is when the next one that we'll try to put together.
Any fights lined up for Badou Jack?
And Badou could be that guy in Q3. Now that he's signed with Skill Challenge, it's important to get him moving. The WBC had already put out a purse bid for another fight for a challenge, for him. And
who's that with?
The number 1 contender, Noel, whatever his name is, one of Don King's guys. We were expecting to do the rematch with Makabu, and it looks like Noel might be the next one in line. But listen, and nothing is solidified. And by the way, even with Don King, we have a great relationship and a very good working relationship with him. And that's exactly what we're going to do, is sit and see what makes the most sense for everybody. It might make sense that there's other fights that we can take that are bigger and a little bit more significant in that division. So we'll see how that looks like.
Good stuff. And the last question for you, Amer, big fight this weekend. Just pick a straight winner for me. Gervonta Davis, Ryan Garcia.
You want me to pick a straight winner? That's going to be a very difficult question. I'll tell you that it's a 50-50 fight. If I were to side with one person, probably the one that's been in the bigger fights, Gervonta Davis. But I think Ryan Garcia is going to give him a hell of a fight. I think the first 2 or 3 rounds are going to be very interesting to see how Tank deals with Ryan's speed, and we're going to find out exactly what happens. But I think, again, you're pinning me down here to pick one. I would say Tank.
Good, interesting stuff. I'm not
It'll
asking
be
about,
a tough fight.
yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So, Amir, it's been a pleasure. I genuinely appreciate your time. I know you're going to be eating soon, so thank you once again.
Jazakallah khair. Thank you, brother.